Jesus made amazing claims. In fact, one could even say that if any other man made the claims that Jesus made, we would be right to consider that man a lunatic. Because Jesus said things about himself that, if they were not true, would have been the height of delusion, or even worse, blasphemy. Many years ago, C.S. Lewis, who is famous for writing so many works, including the Narnia series and Mere Christianity, C.S. Lewis in Mere Christianity expressed something called the trilemma. The trilemma was the idea that when we consider who Jesus is, we are confronted with either one of three answers. This is why it's called a trilemma. A dilemma would be an option of two. That's a dilemma, when you have two potential opportunities or two potential answers. But a trilemma is when there are three answers. And the trilemma of Lewis, many of you have heard this before, so this is nothing new, but for those who haven't, want to share it with you. He said that when you consider who Jesus was either a liar, and what that means is he said what he said, and he knew that it wasn't true, but he said it anyway. For instance, if I were to come today and I were to claim to be the Tsar of Russia, now I would clearly know that that weren't so. And if I said it and expected you to believe it, I would be a liar to say that I was the Tsar of Russia. Now, Lewis said there is a second option when considering Jesus Christ. He said, perhaps lunatic. Because if a man were to stand up, if let's just say I were to stand up and say I'm the Tsar of Russia, and I believed it, it wouldn't make it so. If I said I'm the Tsar of Russia and I was convinced that I was the Tsar of Russia, so much so that you could strap me to a polygraph test, give me the polygraph test, and I would come out 100%, because, you know, passing a polygraph test doesn't mean you're telling the truth. It just means you believe you're telling the truth, right? So a person who is out of their mind can easily pass a polygraph test because they believe what they're saying is true. So Lewis was saying Jesus is either a liar, what he said was untrue and he knew it, or he was a lunatic, what he was saying was untrue and he didn't know it, or we're left with only the option that he is the Lord. The third option for Lewis said, he said what he said, and it was the truth.